I was able to just skate by any way possible and drink and smoke and do whatever I wanted to do. I was very loved as a kid. Didn't have much violence, didn't have much arguing involved. Unless they did it behind doors, I didn't see it. And in my home, it was always okay to cry. It was always okay to show your emotions. It was always okay to talk about your feelings, and not a lot of people get that in life. I had a sister that was 18 months older than me growing up my whole life. She was completely opposite of me. From 3 years old, I'm playing baseball, and it's what I love, and it's something that God gave to me that I was gifted at. We had 2 elementary schools that fed into 1 junior high school, and everybody knew each other since kindergarten. I didn't feel like I fit in with anybody, and I got made fun of a lot because I was well taken care of. Not a lot of people are able to experience that when they're growing up, and I guess not a lot of people in my town did, because I always got made fun of and called a crybaby, and like I wanted to be like them. I wanted to do the things that they did because they had more friends, and it was one of my goals to just sought after that until I got into high school, and it didn't work out for me. Like I said, you know, God was pushing me away from those people for a reason, and I didn't understand that at that point, you know, because I'm still an adolescent and I don't understand much. So we were taking my friend's dad's alcohol, and he had some Wild Turkey, and my friends just wanted to drink beer, but I just needed more, you know, and I couldn't get where I wanted to be. So I just started taking shots of Wild Turkey, and they were drinking beer and I was drinking beer, and I didn't know what it felt like. So we all ended up crashing out, and I didn't really feel anything, and I wake up and I'm in the bathtub. I was in the bathtub, his mom's trying to wash the puke off me, and there wasn't any thought in my mind that I'm not gonna try this again. At that point I can look back and know that, you know, there's one way that I can tell that I'm an alcoholic. And I remember that craving after that happened was just uncontrollable. Like I started just not being able to focus on school. I was, you know, in elementary school I had perfect attendance. I had no problem with school. I loved school. I loved to learn. I loved everything and anything about school. When I took that first drink, everything changed. Went from alcohol to pot during the week, and it wasn't an everyday thing at first. It was just on the weekends and special occasions, and because I have sports that benefit me, so I can't let that get in the way. And then girls got involved, and so I had these like 4 core things that I focused on in high school, and education and my parents, my family, those weren't important to me. And into high school, it really wasn't an issue. Like, that's what you do, it's a phase, you know, and all the feelings of being less than, I think, affected me way more than I gave it credit for. I definitely took that and ran with it, and like I said, 4 things were important: sports, women, and drugs and alcohol, and my friends. So I managed somehow to still score a scholarship to play baseball in college. I end up going to this Division II school, and I know that they're gonna drug test me. I absolutely 100% know, but I can't stop smoking pot. I can't stop drinking, and I can't even fathom the thought of what a life would look like without it, because at this point I'm almost 5 years in. So many years of drinking every single weekend and smoking pot every single day. I remember starting off the night just very slow, and we get through like a bottle, and then we go to the football house, and we start playing, you know, games and beer pong, and then I don't remember anything after that. Roommate tells me I'm rolling out of bed, pee on our carpet. I smoke a cigarette and I try to start a fight or something, and I'm argumentative with everybody outside, and I try to fight the campus security, and I end up hitting a tree and my hand's all messed up, and I told them that they couldn't do anything to me, and you know, fed them the whole, you're just a rent-a-cop, and next thing you know, there's, you know, cherries and berries coming around the corner, and the cop slamming my head on the car, and being handcuffed, and being taken to that jail, and how lonely that felt, you know. Needless to say though, when I got back from the drunk tank in Fort Wayne, I couldn't I couldn't swipe my card to get in. So it was done, it was over. And I'm like, how am I gonna get home? My cell phone doesn't even have a battery in it. And at that time, it's not like everybody has a cell phone on them. So at this point, I'm lost. I turn to the right, I turn to the left, and what do you know? One of my buddies that plays soccer at the university comes right around the corner, and he's like, hey man, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I just got out of jail. What are you doing here? And it's like, I just paid a parking ticket. Hop in the van, let's go. I get back to the university and I slide my card like I was saying, and it's not working. I don't know that alcohol has this grip on me. And I moved to Arizona and I fit in with everybody, and I was very, very mean to women. And I viewed them as an object my whole life, and I had no respect for women, and I could kind of ride the coattails of these girls sometimes that I was with, and that kind of made things okay because they were in the right direction, and so I kind of fooled myself into thinking that I was in the right direction. But my drinking just got worse. So I remember this one time I took this guy's quad up the side of a mountain, and I didn't know where I was. It was pitch dark. There was a light on the quad, and we're all out in the desert, and they're about 2 miles back now. Nobody's around. And I get up there, and it's a dead end. I try to turn around, and I start sliding down this mountain. And all I can do is hop off, and it's not my quad, and it's like $5,000 quad. I haven't seen $5,000 my whole life. 20 years old, and I got this guy's $5,000 quad in my hand, just hanging on to it, and I'm on this side, and the quad's down here, and I pause. I get to let it go, and it doesn't go anywhere. Whew, we're good, okay. So I get up the side of the mountain, and I don't have any alcohol, and I don't have any drugs, and that's my solution. I get back, and they're like, where's the bike at, man? And I explained the situation, and they were all really cool with it, and I started drinking again, and I felt better, and we went, and we got it, and we pulled it, and somehow it worked out. Like, what normal person is like, oh yeah, we almost rolled the vehicle, we ran off the side of the road, hit a couple cactus, pulled over, made sure we had the beer to take into town with us, and started walking, but we were good. Possession of marijuana, and it was before the cards. I got my card after that, and on probation, and I can, and it just continues to cycle down. At this point, I find a girl to take hostage, because that's what I do. I'm not really with you. I'm kind of just holding you hostage so that I can benefit from your stuff. She moved into my parents' house, and she was the love of my life, and we had a kid, and when she decided that me lying about doing heroin behind her back wasn't okay, she left, and I didn't care. And my parents were nice enough to kind of step in without DCS, and so we got that all sorted out. I decided to bring this other girl that I used to date back into my life, and that made everything okay. But at this point, she's got kids. It's happening to her. She was trying to climb out, and I'm just pulling her down, and it gets really spiritual at that point, because at this point and I can't tell you how depressing, and I could sleep for days at that point. And when I started going to jail, I didn't understand that this all was happening for me. But if I make sure that I'm able to be of service, then I never have to worry about me being okay. And that's part of my solution. And while I'm doing that year in county jail, it was a non-agreement plea of 2.5 in prison or a year in county jail. Non-agreement plea means that I'm not agreeing to either one, and it's up to the judge to pick his choice. So I could go to prison, or I could go to a year in jail with early release upon completion of the Alpha program, which was a rehabilitation program that was based in the jail. So you're still in jail, but you get treatment in jail. So blessing, he gives me the year, and I go to the tents which was a super humbling experience. I couldn't stand the food, I couldn't stand the people, I couldn't stand, and I resort to what makes me comfortable, and that's mouthing off, and that's getting angry and yelling at you and intimidating you and making you feel worse than I feel. And at that point in Maricopa County Jail in 130 degrees on a top bunk during the middle of the day, because I work third shift and I have to sleep during the day and I don't like anybody that I'm around, I was very uncomfortable, and I was gonna make you feel way more uncomfortable. And the moment that I was able to accept the reality of the situation, I was able to find a little bit of comfort and ease. And I couldn't even stay sober in jail, man. And I still found what I needed. For 15, 20 minutes make me feel okay, you know, or for 6 hours make me feel okay. Or they brought meetings to the TENS facility, and we got to go to an AA meeting every week. And there were big books everywhere, man. Like if God wasn't trying to send me something to help me out during that situation, I don't know what he was doing. I look back and it was like it was catered to, dude, here, look at this, check this out, read this, because this is what's going to save your life. And so started going to meetings, and I couldn't grasp the concept of, like, these people aren't even getting paid. But the program gets cut short because there's people horsing around, and they said it was an unsafe environment for us to continue our programming in. So for somebody else's actions, I get consequences to not have my early release. There was nothing I can do. I was locked up. The doors are closed. There's barbed wire. I can't leave. The only way to get through it is to start developing better habits and coping skills to be able to get through these emotions that I've never wanted to deal with, because I've never had to deal with them, because drugs and alcohol made me feel good, and I don't have to deal with. I realized halfway through all of it that if I just take another drink, I don't have to feel what just popped up. If I get angry while I'm drunk, I just drink more and it's gone. So, but I didn't have that. And I learned that I had to get through all of that, and it'll slowly become better. And it's not going to happen, and they say keep coming back, man, and that's the most important thing for me, because if I leave too early, I'm going to die. I'm starting to accept the reality of this jail thing. I get through my year, I get out, I haven't picked up the book, I haven't read the book, I haven't anything, you know. I can't stay sober. I want to do this. I have a son that was born while I was incarcerated, and I get to see him. God brought him to me that day. Nobody planned it. Nobody knew when I was getting out, because I got transferred to Pinal County. They OR'd me, and he brought my son to me the first day that I was out and said, hey, check it out. This is your son. I have every single reason in the whole entire world to stay sober, but I can't, because I don't have a solution. So at that point, I continued to just try. I'd go a month, and then I'd violate my probation. I'd have to go in, and my probation was great. I violated so many times before I went back for 30 days. And relapse prevention at Teros, I had substance abuse at Teros, and these are behavioral health facilities, and it was all covered by my access, so I didn't have to pay for a dime of it. I got to go to rehab through Crossroads Arcadia. I did a 28-day program, had it all figured out, and went back to not knowing how to be sober. But the cool thing about that is that I got a taste of what a sponsor looked like. And we got on this level of understanding, and I was able to go to sleep at night and wake up and be a better dude, you know? So I go back to my parents' house, and I try to go to meetings, and I'm miles away from him, and I'm not contacting him, and I just take everything that just happened in my life for granted one more time. You know, the probation office says, you know, go to a halfway house or go to jail, and I go to a halfway house, and I end up getting 2 or 3 months into that, and I get another sponsor, and I start working the steps again, and I get to my third step, and I'm out, man. And I start drinking after meetings, and I graduate that program on false terms. Probation is cool now. I get my own place with a roommate that I used to kick it with back in the day, and I go to the bar, get a new girlfriend, and it's on. I end up going to jail for 30 days. And once I go to jail for 30 days, it's basically a free rehab, and I get out and I go back to what I was doing for a week. I was going to play the game, you know, and I was going to do it again. And halfway through that week, you know, I know that if I don't get into this halfway house, and I went through TLC. I went through TLC twice. This will be the second time that I'll be going. If I don't get into this halfway house, then I'm going to prison this time, because they're going to revoke my probation, and I'm going to prison for the remainder of probably a year. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you what made me change everything, but I did. And when they asked me to what lengths you were willing to go to stay sober, I said any, and I meant it. And from that day forward, I've been good. I got my sponsor back to working on the steps with me, and we went through all the steps, and I started working with other guys, and no more shady individuals. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future, you know? And that's the most important part, is a fellowship of people that I can call on no matter what, that will always be there for me. Just reading the book and understanding the things that are said in the book, and understanding my problem. If I'm willing to consider that there's something greater than me that's able to aid me in the process of getting rid of this spirituality, then I get all of these things. It's just amazing. I can listen 100% of the time, and it doesn't take much for me to put that action. It's like, you're telling me what to do. All I have to do is do it. I waited at TLC for them to tell me when it was okay to leave. I stayed as long as I could, and I stayed 6 months, and they offered me a place at their 3-quarter house. I stayed at their sober living for another 9 months, and then I waited until God offered me an apartment. No background check, the down payment was half of what it should be. I have my son in my life now. I have physical custody of my son, and that's all through the courts, and he's with me 100% of the time, and I get to take him to daycare, and I get to care for another human. And if God didn't think that I was ready for that, he wouldn't give it to me. I get to see them light up and start to understand these things, and I get to take my sponsees to retreats that we go to for our home group, and I get to see these people gain a life like I gained. And it's absolutely amazing. I get to do volunteer work through my church. I get to usher for them. I get to do all these cool things that I never thought in a million years. 5 years ago, you tell me I was doing these things, I would have told you you're crazy. I don't have to worry if I lose any sort of occupation. I have 2 jobs that I absolutely love. And I'll always have everything that I need. If I give myself to him and I'm able to be of service to everybody around me on a daily basis, I'll be okay. So basically it boils down to putting some 24 hours together so I get a clear mind, and working my steps with a sponsor, and then helping others and taking others through the steps, and doing the work, doing a thorough job to get through my steps. All I have to do is make sure that I put myself in front of people that are going to allow me to grow and sharpen me on a daily basis, and I know that these people are also giving themselves to God on a daily basis. So the only thing that can happen is God working through those people to get to me. And if I ask them enough questions about their day and what they're doing and how I can be of service to them, God will definitely make sure that I'm okay that day. And he'll come with what I need. But I have to let go of what I want. Because if I can let go of what I want, then I don't have expectations for anything that's going to happen in my life in the future. If it weren't for the treatment facilities and the people that stick their neck out through the program of AA every single day and have given their time to me, I can't keep what I have unless I give it back. And that's what I do on a daily basis with my sponsees and the people that I work with. And I have my driver's license back after 4 years. I have a car that's newer it's a 2014. I've never had anything like that before. I can keep a steady income coming in. My bank account is taken care of. It has plenty in it at all times. I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. I have a great girlfriend. I have my son full time. I have wonderful friends. I have the job at the food bank during the day, and I tattoo at night, and I get to do what I love to do. I get to tattoo. I get to do what I set out to do my whole, from 23, I've been tattooing for 7 years, and it's been a mess all these years until the last almost 2 years now. I've been able to completely focus and grow in the industry, and I've developed these friends, and I've developed this tattoo family that just shines love all over it. It's absolutely amazing, the love that I get at Dozer Inc. in Mesa, and then at the United Food Bank in Mesa. And me and my sister grew apart at 26-ish, and we just lost her in August 28th, esophageal cancer. So she was diagnosed, and we lost her in about 6 to 8 months. It was really hard for our family, still is really hard for our family, but I got to be there, and without being able to recover, and without being able to live a sober life and a accountable life, I would never been able to be a part of that. And I think that's the most important thing, is that I got through it sober, and I didn't have to drink, and I didn't have to use drugs, and I didn't have to do anything to numb the pain of all of that. Just a lot of heavy prayer. And before she passed away, I got to give her my 1-year chip, and it was one of the best days of my life. I have some guys that I work with in the book. I have a sponsor. I have a home group. It's Wednesday night men's stag at the Mesa Alano Club that helped save my life, really. I have 2 service commitments, one at Unhook Rehab in Mesa, and then one at Crossroads Red Mountain. I do the Back to Basics for them at 7 p.m. It's mandatory for them to go to that meeting to graduate their program, and I get to see a lot of really cool things happen there, and get to see the guys graduate and go on to IOP and start receiving the tools that they need to continue in life and kind of start off on the right foot instead of where they were at when they came into treatment at corporate. So if I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict that comes to you and says, hey man, I've been there, I'm going to be able to help you more than anybody else in this whole entire world. And I'm going to be able to get down on your level and empathize with you, and be able to drag you out of the darkness with me into the light. To think that I didn't have to go anywhere, I just had to let go. I just had to let go of everything and allow God to step into my life. And with that, I'm absolutely grateful.
Detox to Rehab wants to help as many people as possible, and do it the right way. Please subscribe, comment, and like our channel. Thank you for watching.